Good morning and welcome back to Sun Upon 7. Just before the break, we were joined by three teachers, principals, two principals and one teacher, sorry, talking about the COVID surge, how they're handling that COVID surge in schools and the reopening and what measures they're taking in order to ensure that your children are safe and protected while in school. But now we're switching conversation a bit to something that needs to be highlighted as well, as we heard the Honorable Kari Musa yesterday sang praises for the Gang Suppression Unit and the LIU. And we're here now joined with Dr. Richard Rosado, who is the Assistant Commissioner of Police, and Mr. William Dawson, who is the Director of Behavioral Modification and Conflict Management Services at BMCMS. Yes, is that correct? Sorry. And so we welcome you both to our couch. We know that Dr. Rosado is saying he's not a fan of cameras, but we have him here this morning. How are you both doing this morning?
Doing well. Thanks for having us again.
Yeah, likewise, and I am glad to be here this morning.
Okay,
we had to get you because yesterday you should see how the minister talked about, you know, like I told you in the commercial, like a parent. We're so proud I picked me, like, yes, you know.
We might give them the balloons back this year.
So to start off the conversation, we've had a talk already about the LIU, but just to get for people that briefing, and also sometimes when you get 2022, your brain kind of forget 2021. Mm-hmm. So what is the LIU, basically?
Well, to start off with, the Leadership Intervention Unit is a multi-agency, a multi-sectoral group that basically tried to accomplish its objective by strengthening its partnership with the governmental agencies and civil society in an effort to bring more resources to the table and to address violence and crime from a collaborative front. The Leadership Intervention Unit has put together a model that we refer to it as the humanistic model to crime prevention. Now, what this model involves is three main components. We have a change behavior component, a violence interrupter component, and the social development component. The social development component is at the heart of the humanistic model, which focuses basically on family life, recreation, housing, employment, education, and health. So basically, in a nutshell, that's what the Leadership Intervention Unit is about.
Okay, and in terms of the LIU, it was recently implemented, I believe, in October, was it October? October of last year. We just had 2 short months of seeing this happen, and if Honorable Musa is already praising you, there must be some huge strides that happen. Could you tell us more about some of the successes in that?
Well, we officially launched 2 months ago, but the team have been working along with my minister, Kari Musa, behind the scenes, putting together the strategy, putting together the model. So in actuality, the team came together from January.
Okay.
And for this year, for the first time in over a decade, we have seen a decrease in murder in Southside Belize City. And I believe it also has to do with the intervention, has to do with the model that we are presently piloting within Belize City, in Southside Belize City.
I think so too as well, because the approach, when you look at it, it's humanistic, and a lot of times, and Mr. Dawson, I know you could probably attest to this, the approaches that we go when it comes to dealing with people that are related or affiliated with gang, it's just like, I'm just going to give you this, and you need this, and we're moving on. We're not going to understand the trauma, understand really the health aspect, the poverty, go deeper to understand the underlying factors that what causes somebody to be a gang member. And I think that changes the dynamics and why you guys are being so successful thus far with just 2 months in.
And that's the truth, Renata. The approach has to be different, and like we've said on previous occasions, what we have not been doing is looking at this situation as a public health issue, where we do have people who are suffering from different degrees of trauma, and some of the behavioral patterns that especially our young persons are exhibiting. We're not looking at even the effects of COVID-19 and the pandemic that it has had on our people psychologically. And so one of the things the Leadership Intervention Unit has been doing is collaborating, like Doc said, with stakeholders, and in this case, we're happy to have the political buy-in and the support from Minister Kariman, Minister Bernard, and several other ministers as well. So we are also collaborating with Mr. Kevin Cale, Director of Department of Youth Services, and the Ministry of Youth and Sports to make sure we can reach out to these young people And even with UB and Mr. Furman Oliveira, where we can do a family assessment, we need to get in these communities and find out exactly what's happening in these households to get a clearer picture. And so once we take that stride in terms of getting that rapport with the guys and find out the situation, getting in there and mediating and having intervention to get a better understanding, we find out that many of these disputes are over trivial stuff. And so the interrupter component has to be factored in.
I know we had the camp at Mountain Pine Ridge recently, and there were many successes. Could you tell us a little bit about what really the camp really entailed? Because we're here at camp, and that could be a very big word.
Well, I sit in a push bus just
I know. Your drawings, was it like a workshop? Like what basically was taught or brought out from that camp?
And who were the participants of this as well?
Okay, there were several groups from different neighborhoods that attended in the first phase. This camp is directly an offspring of the mediation and intervention, and as you know, we have 250 young persons working across Belize City cleaning up their community. What we do not want to have is that hands-out system that they're used to, and so being a part of this program, you have to enroll in training and in therapy sessions, and so the camp is really an opportunity to take them away from the environment that they're used to and take them into the wilderness where there's a clearer view, an open, clean air, you know, they're in tune with nature, and we give them some training in terms of soft skills and get a bit rapport build and counseling going in the wilderness, and that's what it was really about, to get them to open up and share, you know, in that different space.
Okay, and in terms of continuing this, probably focusing on other neighborhoods as well, what are your plans in terms of another camp or another retreat? I won't call it a retreat, but it's a workshop basically.
Right.
What are the plans in terms of that?
Well, we're taking groups of 50, and like I said, there's 250 young persons we're working with, and so there is a continuity to take the other groups. You know, it was a great experience. The guys loved it. I think there's some pictures where the guys took wilderness trail where they went to the Rio Frio Cave, right? And Doc himself and some of his officers were there as well, you know, and it was exciting to see even the police officers marveled at the sight of the beauty that we have in this country. And these are the things that we want to encourage, where some of these young persons that the only thing they know is that little box that they've been bouncing around in, you know? So it's something that we're definitely looking forward to in terms of the continuity and the training. So besides the soft skills where they're getting counseling and emotional intelligence and these type of, even suicidal ideation is a point of discussion, they are also going to be open to vocational skills training, entrepreneurial skills training as the year continues.
And what has helped us in the past, there were not grassroots participation. And now we have grassroots participation and interagency networking. We also have the support system that did not exist in the past. So our model now incorporates the wide stakeholders. And now we have violence interrupters that have been selected from different gang neighborhoods that are presently being trained as interrupters, as mediators, as hospital interventionists. So our program is a holistic one. And I'm thankful that my minister has now, he has the direction that he's going. I believe it is the right direction, and it was the missing link in addressing the crime situation in Belize City and in the country on a whole. So the model is presently being piloted in Belize City.
Okay. Is it gonna be branched out anywhere else? I know you mentioned about 250, and you guys take about 50 of these boys. So that's a lot, right? To be able to monitor and be able to just have that workshop with. So when it comes to the numbers, is this something that you feel like you're gonna be adding on, or gonna just work with these 250 for right now? What is it? How does it look in that?
The intent is to incorporate all the at-risk youths into the program. We believe that one of our main goals is to empower the marginalized, and through social development program and therapeutic intervention, so that they can become productive members of society. So you will see a wide range of programs that will be launched in 2022 to enhance positive youth development and strengthen the family. You will see a wide range of programs, support mechanisms being launched in 2022 to divert them from a life of crime. So we have great things planned for 2022 as a collaborative effort. And I want to say that in the Leadership Intervention Unit, I'm the Commissioner of Police representative on the team.
I mean, it sounds like very amazing work. Just within, you said from January, but from October when it's officially launched to now, 3 months, not even 3 months, call it 2. Such amazing work has been done already. You said that there's many other platforms that you're looking to embark on in the coming months or the year. Could you give us like one of them that you're looking forward to?
Well, I don't want to get into the specific of what the stake, because whenever we reach to the specific, each stakeholder will launch a program.
Okay.
And I think it would take, I won't want to take away from them.
Okay.
But what you will see from the police perspective, you will see that we'll make every effort to transform the values, the culture, the policies of the police department so that we become more responsive, so that we're more accountable, more efficient, and you will see more greater democratic leadership within the department, and you will see greater independent oversight in the department. You will also see us embracing or initiating programs to change the mindset along with the Leadership Intervention Unit, to change the mindset of the community and how they view crime. You will also see the police department embracing crime prevention through social development, which has never been done before. So I'm glad that my minister, Honorable Karim Musa, want us to go in this direction. You will see greater programs on reducing reoffending. You will see effective policing through evidence-based policing. So we have a wide strategy that we want to launch this year, and I think it will reap great success for us.
Okay.
And the Department of Youth Services definitely has several programs they're looking at. I can tell you that they're looking at training to facilitate 300 young persons in garnering entrepreneurial skills. And when, I want to be honest with you, a lot of people think that this is some type of gang intervention. It's a youth, it's a people intervention. It's an outreach to all persons, like Doc said, marginalized and otherwise, who want an opportunity. I think that's one of the Achilles heel that has been affecting us, where there's a lack of opportunities, especially where young persons are concerned. And that has seen the involvement of young persons in criminal activity over the past years, and we've seen a lot of deaths where young people have concerned and crimes being committed by young persons. So one of the main things is that we want to create positive alternatives that these young persons can engage in so that we can see further reduction. We have heard complaints from even some of the older community leaders that some of the youths are unreachable, they're rogue, they're indisciplined, they don't even listen to them. And so that is the cute part of it, that some of the neighborhood leaders are on board recruiting young persons to be a part of our program because they can't handle them. So it's a work in progress. It's certainly not an overnight fix, but it will take the will, it will take the consistency, and like Doc said, all hands on deck. And that's why we're happy to have the churches on board, the NTUCB, right?
Chamber.
The Chamber of Commerce. We have to give kudos to many of our stakeholders who have been consistent since we've started in making this a success.
Most definitely. I want to look in the regards to the educational aspect.
Right.
Mr. Musa, Honorable Karim Musa was speaking about it, that the fact that you're going to plan to not only give them more rights to get into education system, but also for the practical skills too as well.
Right.
Could you speak, is that something that's going to be happening this year? Is it already happening in the workshop? Because I know there's a partnership with UB to a certain level, they're a stakeholder. So what is going on with that?
Well, we even have a partnership with the IT vets. For those who qualify for the IT vets. Last year, we gave away 40 scholarships to 40 young persons who wanted to attend IT vet. But besides that, we are cognizant that the conventional educational system has somewhat failed some of our young persons who are not academically inclined. And so to support inclusion, we are offering basic vocational training, skills training for some of them who are good with their hands. And I can tell you that right now we're working on a 2-cycle repair training, a 2-week training for some of the youths who want to open their own business in terms of there's a high demand where there's the repair of weed whackers and small motors are concerned. And these are things that they're looking forward to, basic training in the introduction of plumbing and electrical, things that they can do with their hands. And we have seen that that has worked. And so we're looking forward.
And you'd be surprised of the talent that these guys have.
I could imagine.
And we want to enhance these skills as marketable skills so they eventually become entrepreneurs. So I think the effort, man, I am happy. I am optimistic of the future. I'm optimistic of the direction we're going, and I think great things will come out of it.
It's like you said, it was the missing link, and now you actually have a first-hand experience. You're dealing with them on a one-to-one basis. You're hearing their concerns. You're actually putting out positivity into their lives now. So it's a reciprocation of ideas and whatever. And now you're seeing what really can happen when we actually invest in these marginalized persons.
I wanted to look also on, so we're talking about entrepreneurship here. And we all know sadly there's a negative connotation that goes with gang-affiliated members when it goes back into society trying to get a job and so forth. Are there conversations on how we can talk to the private sector, on how we can be able to get these young men into the system properly to get a job? Because once you could get an education, but will you be properly hired? Because when people hear that or they know where you come from and so forth, they're like that stereotype that I'm not going to hire you because I'm afraid you're going to do X, Y, and Z. So is there a conversation happening?
In fact, the chamber, the business community, is a stakeholder in our group. In fact, we have met, our last meeting was last month, right? So while we have identified 9 priorities that we want to focus on, we are now developing the actionable for each priority. And the business community and the private sector is an integral part of the LIU.
Perfect.
And to expand on that, one of the things that we would love to see is that equal employment opportunity for those who really want to change. And of course, we can't forget that it's not all ice cream and cake. If you're not participating in the program and you are insisting on behaving rogue, this is where the guys in khaki come in and do their job and make sure that they enforce the law. So it's something that we have to be able to compromise going forward and looking at it that maybe there might even have to be some legislative changes as it relates to the expungement of people's criminal record where it's applicable after a period of time of not being criminally involved. So all of these things are options that we really have to look at.
To add to what Brother Dawson mentioned, that as a law enforcement agency, we have a wide continuum of policing strategy available to us, from community-oriented policing to combat policing. Where on that continuum we place the police department is highly dependent on the context of on the ground. While we do believe that our primary role is not to incarcerate the marginalized, but rather we must be the front end of gang membership prevention. And hence the reason we are working with our stakeholders to come up with strategy that will help us in gang membership prevention. And the LIU, man, I think it's like a blessing for me that I have Brother Dawson, Brother Councillor Novello, Brother Kiedel, and all the stakeholders working with us for one cause. And I think I am blessed to be here at Eastern Division.
I want to bring it to a current situation that's happening here, Dr. Rosado. There was a news video last night, aired on Channel 7 as well, but there was a young man who was alleging that he was invited to a police mediation or a mediation session. And shortly after that, police came in and they beat him, and he was alleging that there were orders from somebody to go and beat him. Do you have any comments on that?
The matter, the person did make a complaint and we are presently investigating. The same way how we are trying to change the mindset of the community and how they view crime, we are also doing it within the police department. It is not easy. We are trying to get away from that dogmatism, conservatism, authoritarianism, the rigidity within the police department. And it will be a cultural shift that will not happen overnight. But I believe as we go along and having more educated police, within the police department, you will see a transition from that traditional aspect of policing to a new era of policing. Our challenge have always been that we have managers, middle managers, that are not qualified, do not have the managerial capacity, the leadership capacity to help us transform the organization in the direction we want to go. But slowly it is changing,
Right.
and we're having more police officers educating themselves. And I hope one day we will be in par with the public service. I hope one day, the same way how they set stringent measures on the teachers, you have to qualify. I hope one day we will get there.
And I like the fact that Honorable Musa said yesterday that with the new batch that came in, they had to have that requirement of a high school diploma.
Yes.
That is something I feel like was necessary in the whole thing. So we have the education system, or we have the qualifications rising. Is there anything now in the academy that would continue with that, let's say, continuous education for the police in terms of, yes, they're patrolling, they're policing, but in terms of actual other educational aspects?
In fact, the professional development training after passing out, after graduating from the academy, is now a critical component for police officers. Right now in the department, we are working with our institution, or with our partners at the educational institution, to come up with training courses for all level of our police officers. But specifically right now, we're looking at the managers, because if we can change the mindset of the managers, I think things would change.
That
And
might
then,
be approach from the top.
yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Because definitely, if you're seeing your boss doing something, you might have been trained to do something else, but boss, you said that, so I
Yeah.
know what boss say.
Yes, follow the leader.
And
You're following the leader.
And it's
hard.
it's hard to, because if you have been doing something for a decade, some police officers believe that you have to go the hard way after criminals. But, and they believe that the traditional gang enforcement strategy is the way to go. But we have realized that our traditional gang enforcement strategy that is relying on suppression, social control, and legal sanction, in actuality strengthen gang cohesion and increase gang violence. So we are changing course, we are changing direction. So we are hopeful that the department will also embrace the new initiative that the Ministry of Home Affairs want to go, and my minister.
Most definitely. I'm really happy to hear the things that we're hearing right now. And to see it actually go into fruition and materialize will be excellent. I'm sure people are going to appreciate it. As we're wrapping up this segment, I just have one last question. Mr. Dawson, you want to piggyback off of the idea that if the gentlemen that you're working with presently don't decide to, adhere to the regulations or whatever it is, then they are dealt with to us. The men in khaki go and they do what they need to do. In that regard, so people drop out, and what happens then to these people that have dropped out? Are they like, they really red tape on there? Like, what happens then if they've come out of the program too as well?
Well, to be honest with you, and maybe Doc can attest to this, we really didn't have anybody dropping out on that level, People are really coping. I'm seeing a willingness on the guys' part. Like I said recently, it's reaching to a point where we don't have to call mediation with some of these guys. They are calling us and saying, what, something is brewing and going wrong. Can you facilitate a mediation for us? And that's what we want. Presently, we're being bombarded by young men and women and the community elders who are seeing the steps that we're taking and reaching out to us to find out how they can assist within their communities.
Wow.
And so yesterday in meeting Minister Musa, we've discussed that we've opened a door and a floodgate, actually, and a lot of people are jumping on the bandwagon, and right now we don't have enough hands to facilitate everybody's request that is coming in. But we have to start somewhere, and we have to look at the big picture that if we strengthen the human resource of our country, we are strengthening the country.
I agree.
And we want to improve on citizen security and make Belize a better place, and I believe that we can do it.
Most definitely.
I mean, now I realize why Honorable Musa praising us so much.
I know.
I'm really loving this entire segment and the positivity that's coming out of it.
It's very holistic.
And I think, yes, very holistic, but I think now you've struck a chord in people of inclusivity, and they're now wanting to join, be a part of it to help us be better.
Yes.
So I just
So
want to thank you both. Thank you, Mr. Dawson. Thank you, Dr. Rosado, for being here, giving us the good news and the things to come. People might be flooding in, but we are trying our best to accommodate all the people that are coming in. And we would definitely love at some point in time, and I put it out here on live TV, I like us like that, to maybe have one of the guys come on and to talk about their experience, what they've been getting from it, because it's one thing to hear you say, because I'll be honest, people that say, oh, put it up all kind of way, but when these men come and share their experience, I feel like that's going to have the public know that there is definitely a change of heart, a change of mind, and a change of behavior that is happening for our young people. And so with that, we go to our next commercial break. When we're back, we're going to be talking about a marriage workshop that is coming February 5th. How can you be a part of it? Or tell a friend to tell a friend. We all need to make sure that our spouses and our marriages are successful in Belize. So stay tuned for that conversation.